Cherise Crawford stood recently on the hidden site of the Union Wesley Methodist Church Cemetery, where two sets of her great-great-grandparents are buried.
We have been held up from cleaning up for the past 3 months now. We were told we needed a settlement permit, so we've been waiting for a waiver for that. And after I reached out several times, after I finally reached out Tuesday again, I was told that we can proceed, that we did not need a settlement permit after all.
After lengthy research, Crawford located the birth certificates, death certificates, and marriage certificates confirming that her ancestors lived here and were buried on this ground in Potomac, which is now home to some of the priciest real estate in the United States. Crawford says black families like hers lived in shacks with no running water and were eventually forced off this land by higher and higher taxes imposed by the county government.
And I found out that there were people buried on Piney Meeting House Road. So I was like, that's up the street from where I've worked all these years. And so I called the Historical Society because I started checking around, making calls, and I finally reached someone at Historical Society. I said, I'm looking at the list of black cemeteries here in Montgomery County, but I do not see this one.
When Crawford told the Historical Society the name of the church, which had burned down years ago, they confirmed its location here on Piney Meeting House Road. Crawford says her great-great-great-grandfather, a Civil War hero, are among the former slaves and freed blacks buried here. But then, in the 1970s, the county wrongfully sold the overgrown wooded site to a developer. Jeff Joseph, who inherited the land from his father, has been working with Crawford to restore the burial ground. He says his dad immediately stopped plans to build on the property once he learned it was a 150-year-old cemetery.
In the 80s, he approached the county because a survey showed that the road was also part of the deed. Why has Montgomery County sold the road? And it was like, well, eventually, if we ever widen the road, we'll get back to you. So when my father passed away in 2005 and I was going through his papers, I had no intention of disturbing a cemetery.
For decades, Joseph says, he did nothing with the property except pay taxes on it.
So I didn't know how to really engage with the county. I just figured, well, at some point in time, they'll find me, And so Cherise found me, which was even better.
Crawford says the cemetery is not only important to her, but to the dozens of other black families whose ancestors are buried in the abandoned cemetery.
It's very important because my ancestors were slaves here. They had land that was purchased by them or given to them by their slave owners. And all that land has been taken. Every piece of it has been taken. And this here, where we're standing today, is the only thing that we have left. A piece of our history is it's here, right here. And those who fought for us to be here today are laying here in this cemetery.
Under our feet.
Under our feet. Under our feet and under this brush.
Cherise Crawford and Jeff Joseph say they will continue to work together and with Montgomery County, Maryland, to eventually make this a nonprofit and rectify the mistake that was made so many years ago. Make this a black cemetery where they can visit the relatives, ancestors, and the ancestors of others who are buried on this hallowed ground. Carol Van Dam for VOA News, Potomac, Maryland.